Hi, my name is Tess Newman, a director at Cat Consult and an executive coach. It's an honor to be speaking to you today about the candidate's view on the recruitment process. Before we understand their view on the recruitment process, let's start by understanding who a candidate is and what their relationship is with the recruitment process. So a person becomes a candidate when it settles in them that they have to find a job, regardless of how they come to that conclusion. So they start by understanding the target market, the target industry, and the target field. Then they update their resume, their cover letter, their social media presence, or let's say their LinkedIn profile, and then look for effective job search strategies to ensure that they stand out of the pool of the very many great talent to be noticed by potential employers. Now, recruitment, on the other hand, entails mainly two parties, that is the candidate and the employer. Now, the employer, in this case, we're talking about the talent acquisition teams or the human resources teams. So recruitment, in summary, I would state that is when an employer directly or indirectly works to hire, to fill a certain position with a specific person in a specific time frame. What I mean by directly or indirectly is that some companies hire using internal teams while other companies outsource the services. So regardless of how the position is to be filled, employers advertise with an expectation to receive applications to be able to select the best according to their need or their needs. Now, candidates, on the other hand, respond to advertisements or job posts with an expectation to receive a response from the employer. Employers mostly receive their expectations, while candidates mostly don't receive their expectations. So what is the relationship? The relationship is that an employer, through the recruitment process, hires a candidate who then becomes the employee. First of all, I want to highlight that being a candidate puts a person in a fragile state. And fragile, I mean that they are emotionally, mentally, and physically very low on energy. I want you to imagine you being the fastest runner ever registered. You are taken to a random place, on a random street, blindfolded, and you're instructed to run as fast to a destination verbally described. How fast would you run? So imagine a feeling of expecting the worst, yet you know you are the best. That is exactly how candidates feel when it comes to the hiring process. Now that you know the view, I then ask, as an expert, as a professional, as a person in the hiring process, what have you done or what are you doing to help improve on this experience? Don't get me wrong, I do understand there are enormous things that candidates do that are so unbecoming, like when they don't follow instructions of the post, when they send a wrong CV for a right role, where you receive a lead generator CV for a mechanical engineering role. There's so many things, but two wrongs don't make it right. Regardless of what is being done, regardless of the mistakes that they're making, which seem like common sense to us, whenever you come across these applications, these candidates who make these mistakes, remind yourself of one thing: there is no smoke without fire. Remember that this person wants to be hired. Their desire is to be hired. Their wish is to be hired. Why would they tarnish or trash or destroy the only opportunity they have to get their wish or desire, if it is not for ignorance? My greatest book states that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Anne's namesake that we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Maybe this person is too desperate to focus on the right role. Maybe they think that there is another position you may consider them for. Maybe they are too frustrated for not finding a job after a long period of searching. Maybe they have a bad day. Maybe they have a bad month. Maybe they have a bad week. We don't know. My point is, we don't know. And because we don't know, this is one of the reasons why we have to be more understanding. These actions tell us something that we have to pay a close attention to. Now, those are the candidates that are on the wrong side of the application. How about those that are on the right side of the application? They are a match 100%, but do not receive a response or are ghosted after a few interactions. What is the justification for that behavior? Many candidates stay in wonder of what they've done wrong. They keep beating themselves up for a judgment they know little or nothing about. Now, I believe that you want them to be better. You want them to use better approach next time. You want them to apply with the right CV or with the right, apply the right way. How do you think they're going to do that without you clearly stating it? I have spoken to very, very many professionals or experts who always say that we don't have time to respond to all of the candidates, which I do agree with 100%. There has never been time to respond to all candidates. We don't have a time. There is no time, and there will never be that time. Time is created. Have you heard of this English proverb, where there is a will, there is a way? So you may choose to ignore, you may choose to do something about it. If you choose to do something about the situation, you will not only help improve on the candidate's experience, but you'll also add credit to you as a person and to your company's employee value proposition. So regardless of whether the candidate writes about it on social media or not, your bad experience with them is registered the moment it happens. You cannot take it back. And it does not only affect you as a person, but it affects your company as well. Let's look at how to help improve the candidate's experience. But before we do that, I want you to ponder on this. You receive 100 inquiries about a product or service that you sell. Would you ignore some of the inquiries because there are too many? Or would you respond to all of them? Would you find a way to respond to all of them? I believe you would find a way to respond to all of them, because what a client says about your brand is very important. Don't forget, a candidate is a client. Now, with that in mind, let's look at some of the ways we can help improve the candidate's experience. So, first of all, in every situation, there are always two options. There is an option to do something about the situation, and there is an option to simply ignore the situation and let it be. So if you're the kind of person that wants to do something about the situation, one of the things that you may do is be more empathetic. Alfred Adler said that empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, hearing with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. Now, you need to understand how it feels to be on the other side of the recruitment process. By the way, you don't have to first go through it for you to understand. But also, you cannot help improve a situation that you don't understand. So when you understand how it feels to be on the other side of the situation, you will find a way to help improve on the situation with the resources that you already have, or with the resources that you can find. Now, empathy, just like love, just like kindness, you can never give enough. And we always need to give more. Now, the other thing that you can do is apply effective communication. Nat Turner said that good communication is the bridge between clarity and confusion. Imagine you give food to the hungry. Now, when they come, they stand outside your door, they wait for food. When you give them the food, then they leave. They will stay outside your door waiting until you tell them there is no food. The same thing applies to recruitment. When you don't tell, there is an open position, it has been advertised, then you don't tell the candidate that you're not a fit, or you're not suitable, or we found somebody else, then they'll continue to hope that there is a position, and they'll continue to send applications, which gives you actually more work to do. So, no candidate is going to think like a hiring manager or a person in the hiring position, because they're not the ones hiring. Now, one of the challenges we have in communication is that we think that other people think like us. We are different. That is why you find that there are very many different reviews on or about the same thing. So if you're planning or not responding to the candidates for whatever reasons, these are some of the things that you can do. First of all, you can put a disclaimer on your advert that we shall only respond to the shortlisted candidates. And if you don't receive a response within, let's say, 10 to 14 working days of sending your application, then you know you're not shortlisted. This will help them understand that they're not shortlisted, so that they'll start to focus on what is good for them. Then they'll leave what is not good for them. Then the second thing you can do is you automate the process. When you automate the process, then everybody that has applied will receive a response. Then three, you can, if you're the kind of company that does things manually, you can design a generic message or draft a generic message where you send the same message to every candidate that is not shortlisted. Again, it helps them focus on what is good and leave what is not good for them. Now, the other thing is that be more flexible. Many companies are missing out on great talent because of lack of flexibility. We have come across, I know many people at the sound of my voice have come across very many people that will claim to have, let's say, 10 years of experience. And when you evaluate them, you realize they have 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. Many people that have, worked in human resources for a while will agree with me that not every position requires experience, and not every position requires a certain kind of experience. So the more flexible you are when it comes to hiring, the more you're going to find good talent and bring them on board, provided they have the right attitude, because it is easy to train someone for skills, but you're not going to be able to train someone for attitude unless it begins with them. So be the person that brings back hope in people. The other thing that you can do is humility. C.S. Lewis said that humility doesn't mean that you think less of yourself, but it means that you think of yourself less. Now, many people at the sound of my voice will agree that with a certain kind of wisdom comes humility. Humility becomes a nature with a certain kind of wisdom, and it cannot be mistaken for something else, because it is so defined in you to be mistaken for something else. And lastly, you may choose to educate your clients directly or indirectly. Remember, candidates are your clients. So we do come across very many people that send messages or send applications that are using wrong approaches. If you know an article, or you wrote an article, or you have, you've read a post somewhere that will be really helpful for them, then share it with them. Remember, people are perishing because of lack of knowledge. And here you are sharing knowledge. It means that you are reducing on the number of people that are perishing. Before I close, I want to throw this in. If you're the kind of person that wants to be a better TA or better HR expert, this is for you. But if you feel that you're already there, then this is not for you. There is a statement many people make, or there's a statement we often come across, bring back the human in the HR. It perhaps means that these people feel that they're working with robots or they're working with machines. Now, use that as your leverage point. How? Ask more questions, make less statements. The more questions you ask, how can I, when should I, what should I, how can I, what can I, you are opening your mind to opinions, suggestions, views, ideas. Now, when you make a statement, you close your mind. So the more questions you ask, the more you're going to be able to understand how to be a better TA or better expert. Now, the second thing you can do is continuously learn. Never stop to learn. Learning doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to school. And I think it's Warren who said that the more you learn is the more you earn. So it's self-explanatory. If you want to earn more, you have to learn more. There are those that think that learning is a waste of time. There is a quote that says, you cannot continue to do today's job with yesterday's methods and expect to stay in business tomorrow. The same applies to your job. Times have changed, times are continuing to change, and if you continue to do the same things, then you're going to be left behind. If you still feel that learning is a waste of time and adjusting is a waste of time, then I believe you should ask Nokia, Kodak, BlackBerry, Motorola. They should be able to justify that statement. Moving forward, I personally believe that everybody was made for greatness, because when you look in the sky, it looks brighter with many stars. So it means that you can be great as a junior, you can be great as a mid-level, you can be great as a senior, you can be great, as top level. Now, we all don't have to be in the same positions to be great, but we can all shine, and the professional world will shine because of the greatness of everybody. So if you are the kind of person that was created to do more than just going to work, paying bills and dying, then this is for you. What can you do? First of all, you can choose to be a source or to be a resource. If you are a source, other experts come to you for wisdom. But if you are a resource, you go to other experts for wisdom, that when they are not available, you are stuck. If you are a source, you'll leave a legacy. If you are a resource, you will leave a trace. Now, one of those two is easily cleaned. Now, if you are a resource, you can easily be replaced. If you are a source, you will not easily be replaced. The second thing that you can do is you can choose to either leave the status quo, follow trends, or you can you can choose to set the trends. When you set the trends, other people will follow those trends because the ones you're following today was set by somebody else. The other thing that you can do, you can choose to be ordinary or you can choose to be extraordinary. Both of those two have 24 hours a day and they all carry around red blood. If you continue to do the same thing that other people have done, you're going to be in the same place where other people have been. Now, the question is, how can you cause a distinction when you're doing what others have done?